welcome to Monza for day one of Eurosport's coverage of the Italian Grand Prix, round 12 of the Formula One World Championship. Coming up in this programme, pre-qualifying, the first qualifying session, and all the news from the pit lane. With me, as usual, John Watson. John, there's always a special buzz about Monza.
Well, I love the place, both as a driver and as a commentator. I mean, this is my first year commentating for Eurosport, but the atmosphere at Monza is unique. The crowd that come here, the supporters of Ferrari, Prost and Mansell, it's just, well, fantastic. But of course, the one man who all those Ferrari fans are going to be booing and hissing at is Ayrton Senna. And Senna and Prost have got a special situation because they're both running on a Goodyear tyre that is a different construction. This is evolved out of testing here last week. So I think that's just going to really heighten the battle between these two guys, the contenders for the 1990 World Championship. And I think this is going to be, I've said it before, it's a cracker, and I'm going to love it. I hope you do too.
Thanks very much, John. Well, let's see what's been happening since Spa 2 weeks ago. Catch up now with the news from the pit lane.
Monza was certain to be a hotbed of rumour and speculation about driver changes. Would Ferrari announce their second driver? And what about the Williams lineup? And with Senna now settled at McLaren, Jean Alesi seemed to be the key player in the who goes where game. Thursday afternoon saw Frank Williams call together the British press, and afterwards I asked him just how close had he come to signing Ayrton Senna.
Well, only Ayrton could tell you how close we actually got, but I felt strongly that since he is the best driver in the world, that Williams should try their best to have him. The fact that we failed is regrettable, but at least we tried. Whether we really were so close, only he could tell you that.
Yes, it was suggested he was using you a little bit in his negotiations with McLaren.
That's always possible, will always be argued. We were there with the money and all the terms. Maybe he did that, maybe he didn't, but I think he was very sincere in what he was saying to me.
Your negotiations with Nigel predated your discussions with Ayrton. You talked to him before the British Grand Prix.
I talked to Nigel for some time before the British Grand Prix, but by the time we arrived at that race meeting, we were unable to agree to cross some rather long bridges on commercial aspects of a possible contract, so we called it a day.
What about Jean Alesi? Because you said in that conference a few moments ago that you actually signed a contract with him on February the 2nd of this year, but there were conditions.
Yes, Williams signed a contract with Jean Alesi the 2nd of February, a proper English law contract, conditional, however, upon his securing a proper and legal release from his present employer, Ken Tyrrell. If that release comes into place, Williams have priority on his services, and I'm sure you are well aware that he would rather drive for Ferrari, which is perfectly understandable. But we got there first, and we intend to stay there first at this moment in time.
With Alesi apparently contractually barred from Ferrari, who is to fill Mansell's place? Ivan Capelli seems the favourite.
Actually, when I saw this morning the newspaper, I was really excited, and I appreciate what the journalists are saying, but unfortunately, still a rumor, and it's not really true. I mean, that I'm with Ferrari for next year. I'm still waiting their decision. We know that they have a very complicated situation at the moment. Leighton House team is very kind, and they are waiting at the same time. So actually, I think that all the Formula One paddock is expecting what Ferrari is doing.
But you've had discussions with Fiorio, have you?
Yes, the only message that I had from Ferrari and from Mr. Fiorio is to wait to sign contract with anybody else, and if there are other teams that are putting pressure on me, to say to them which is the date, the final date of the agreement before signing, so they can actually reply to me or try to give me another opportunity to wait.
Speculation too that Alex Caffey might be the Ferrari surprise signing, pushed by Alan Prost no less. I asked him if he had talked to the team.
No, I never spoke with Ferrari, and but about Alan Prost, I'm very, very happy, because when a big driver, I think the bigger drivers in Formula One at the moment, the driver that wins much more Grand Prix in the world, say this about me, is very, very great for me, because it's like win a Grand Prix, because, you know, when an important man like this say that I'm a fast driver, he won me in a big team, with him is very, very great. It's most important things that could become for a young driver.
Another outsider is Formula 3000 pilot and Ferrari test driver Gianni Morbidelli. Was he in the running?
No, it's very difficult. I have a contract with Ferrari for other 2 years. I have a contract with two teams in Formula 1 to race next year, but I don't think there is a possibility for me to race with Ferrari.
What about Minardi?
Yeah, Minardi is possible. He's a good team. He have a Ferrari engine, so there is a possibility for me.
So, our best bet at the moment is Capelli for Ferrari, Williams to retain Patrese and Boutsen, and Alesi contractually locked into Tyrrell. Meanwhile, Footwork Arrows are still hunting for drivers. Was team manager Jackie Oliver making much progress?
No, there are two things you need to get top drivers. You need a lot of money, you need success. We haven't got the success, we've got the promise of success, and I think the drivers would rather choose the teams that have got current success, because that is proven and there's less risk. So we do find ourselves in that situation. But the silly season's not over yet.
Rumours that their Yamaha engine deal has fallen through and instead will use Lamborghini engines in 1991. Definitely not so, however, said a spokesman. Meanwhile, a new Italian sponsor has been added to the livery this weekend. Finally, news too from Nigel Mansell, who also called the British press together to tell them that, yes, he is definitely retiring from Formula 1, but he might just race sports cars in the future. Out on the track in practice Friday morning, Nigel was definitely playing for the cameras, while teammate Alan Prost was trying to extract himself from a sand trap. But a few moments later, his Ferrari's engine let go in the biggest possible way, and the end result was this brief flash fire. And as the man the Monza fans call the British Lion walked back to the pits, he gave those souvenir hunters something to scrabble over, possibly for the last time. Matthew.
Well, I wonder if any of those drivers would reconsider their options for next year if it meant they had to drive around banking like this. This, of course, part of the old circuit here at Monza, and you can't help wondering what a sight it must have been to have been standing on the inside of one of these curves and see the cars come flying round. Well, Monza is always a special track, always a special race, largely, I think, because of the fans here. The Italians are mad for the Ferraris, and the Tifosi really make a Monza Grand Prix a special occasion. For most Italians, Monza ranks second only to the Vatican as a centre for religious worship. The faithful flock here to pay their respects to the car which has become a symbol for all that is attractive about motor racing. Ferrari mania is reflected in all sorts of memorabilia, from headgear to household ornaments, from literature to lingerie. The stores here rival Milan's busiest shopping streets for customers and turnover, although there is a constant theme to the merchandise on offer. There's little contest for the most popular exhibit in the pit lane, as the Tifosi struggle to take that extra special shot. For some, there are dreams of future glory. In the paddock, the pilgrims stand in reverence before the Scarlet motorhome, waiting for a glimpse of their heroes. No one dares enter. In any event, they would swiftly be removed. Back on the track, the sign writers leave Messrs Prost and Mansell in no doubt about where their affections lie. No matter that neither driver is Italian, at Monza, the car is everything. Yes, only at Monza do you get scenes like that. Time now for a look at the latest driver and constructors' championship standings. Heading the Drivers' Championship with 63 points is Ayrton Senna, 13 points ahead of Alain Prost of Ferrari in second place. Gerhard Berger, the other McLaren driver, is third with 33 points, Thierry Boutsen fourth with 27, and Benetton's Nelson Piquet fifth with 24. Alessandro Nannini, the other Benetton driver, is sixth with 16 points, and Riccardo Patrese for Williams, seventh with 15. Two drivers share eighth place, John Alesi for Tyrrell with 13 points, Nigel Mansell, the same total for Ferrari. In 10th, Ivan Capelli, 11th, Eric Bernard, 12th, Derek Warwick, and in 13th place, Stefano Modena and Alex Cafe. And three drivers share 15th positions, Toru Nakajima, Aguri Suzuki and Mauricio Gugelmin. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren Honda lead the way with 96 points. Ferrari is second with 63. In third, Williams Renault with 42. Fourth, the Benetton Ford. Fifth, Tyrrell Ford. In sixth place, it's Leighton House Judd. Seventh, LaRousse Lamborghini. And in eighth, Lotus Lamborghini. And two teams share ninth position, Arrows Ford and Brabham Judd. Well, now we've caught up on what's been happening while we've been away and who's in what position going into the Monza weekend. Time now for the first action of the day. Here's Andrew Marriott with highlights of pre-qualifying.
Sparks started to fly at 8 o'clock on the Monza track. Pre-qualifying, 7 cars going for 4 spots. And the quickest throughout the 1-hour session, Oliver Griard in the Fon-Metal Osella. But second fastest, this man, Bertrand Gachot, really looking good in the Coloni. The Life only made 2 laps yet again. And the 2 AGSs, they both went through. Tarquini a little quicker than Yannick Dalmas. Let's look at those full times then. Oliver Gruillard fastest at 1:26.947. Much quicker than Bertrand Gachot, second on 1:27.594. Then Tarquini, 27.773, and Dalmas, 28.132. 3 non-qualifiers, Roberto Moreno again, sadly, Claudio Langes and Bruno Giacomelli. But we hear that the Life team have taken delivery of a Judd engine to replace
the practice. Coming up, the first official qualifying session for the Italian Grand Prix, right after the break. To the grandstand to watch the first qualifying session for the Italian Grand Prix. Let's join them, your commentators John Watson and Andrew Marriott.
Yes, Matthew, 30 minutes remaining of this first qualifying session. There, the magnificent Monza circuit. Currently Berger fastest, Mansell second, Senna third. John, what do you think?
Well, we've had 30 minutes, but the next 30 minutes I'm sure are going to be more exciting, because really Monza is about excitement. And up until the last minute of those 60 minutes of qualifying, anything can happen.
Oh yes, you can just see the old banking there, and you can see Ayrton Senna moving his timing screen around. And at the moment he is only third fastest. Ron Dennis checks. He's had 1 run already. But at the moment, it's Gerhard Berger, his teammate, who is on the pole. So plenty of activity in the McLaren pits. There's the spare car. Gerhard Berger has that this weekend. And Berger certainly looking impressive so far. But out on the circuit now, it's Thierry Boutsen. Boutsen in the Renault-powered Williams. Will he be driving for them next season? That is the big question. And it looks as if Boutsen's got a bit of understeer there as he bumps through the chicane.
Yes, all these new chicanes, they've got much more razor-like edge to them. There's got a ripple effect, and it's very hard on the car. But Boutsen now really out to prove, and principally to thank Williams, that he is the man that he should keep for 1991. Boutsen really complaining a lot about the fact that there's no communication between himself and certain members of the team. I think the team have felt maybe Thierry's attitude and approach to motor racing is rather laid back. I think that's just the nature of the man myself. But over the last number of weeks, they've seen a slightly sharper and more aggressive character coming out of Boutsen. And of course, right here at Monza, aggression and character are very much a part of getting a good position.
Yes, I wonder if that's caused by him becoming a father recently. Well, he's just about to cross the finish line. We look at the timing screen. What's it going to be? Boutsen goes fourth. Boutsen moves up to fourth. 1:24.043 for Thierry Boutsen. Just slowing down now through that first chicane. Quite a few incidents there in the morning session. And once you get in that gravel, you're in it for good. Well, Alan Prost out now. Sparks flying from underneath the Ferrari. And John, what about Prost's chances?
Well, so far we haven't seen so many sparks from Prost in lap times as we would have expected. It's been Nigel Mansell really has been the more dominant of these two Ferrari drivers. And Alan Prost really is a very crucial race indeed for him, because wherever he finishes here is going to affect the outcome of the championship. And Monza principally is a circuit that will suit horsepower. And of course the Ferrari engine isn't considered to be quite so powerful as his rival Senna's Honda engine is. But Senna, or Prost, getting wide coming out of that Ascari chicane. That's the final of the 3 chicanes, coming down now this long straight into the parabolica. Got Stefano Modena ahead of him, but not close enough to be a problem. But Alan Prost really needs to get his car up to the front of the grid to have really any chance of challenging Senna on the race on Sunday.
Certainly looking like a quick one as the time ticks away. Across the start-finish line, 1 minute 23.497. Prost moves on to the front row of the grid. That is the second fastest time so far.
Now remember, Alan Prost had a huge accident here just last week during testing. He had a throttle stick open in the Lesmo corner, so maybe Alan's not entirely comfortable with racing here at Monza this weekend. Sometimes after a large shunt, it takes a few days, a few laps just to get yourself and your confidence back up again.
Well, here's Jean Alesi actually on his third qualifying run. Currently the positions: Berger and Prost, Senna, Mansell, Boutsen, Alesi currently lying 6th. Then Patrese and Piquet and Nannini and Warwick. They're the fastest 10 so far. I wonder if Alesi can improve. Running very low downforce on this particular run. And there he goes, John.
Well, Alesi's just driving the wheels off his Tyrrell. Of course, these wheels have got Pirelli tires on them, and that's part of the reason why Alesi is so quick. Remember, his Cosworth engine's got about 70 horsepower less than, let's say, the Honda engine has. But Alesi's absolutely a bullion. Oh, my... that almost could have been the end of Alesi's Italian Grand Prix 1990. If that car had snapped sideways anymore, he'd have been into that barrier.
Yes, very exciting driver to watch. And that super shot from the helicopter. You just see that parabolica corner. And now Alesi coming back to the start-finish line, going very wide again. What's his time going to be? 1:24.2. He hasn't improved, but still a great performance by Alesi, still on the third row of the grid. Now here he is, Ayrton Senna. What's he going to do about this? Remember, he is not on the front row of the grid yet. This is his second run. Goes on the quick run now, and John, talk us through it.
Well, let's see Senna through this first chicane. That's a judge to me, well, immaculate. That's all I can say. That's the way everybody should go through the first chicane. It is clean, it is neat. Here we are in car going through the curve of Grande. This is a long flat out. He's just taken 6th gear, probably coming up to about 180 miles an hour now, braking down to 2nd gear for this very tight left, right, and again trying to keep off the curves as much as possible. Now coming down to this wonderful Lesmo 1 corner, the most difficult, I think, of the 2 Lesmo corners, and then into the very much quicker Lesmo 2, and the car running right out. And this is where Senna had an enormous moment. And again, 1 week ago testing, he ran the car across that curb. In fact, he destroyed the chassis doing it. Now coming down to the 3rd chicane. This is what sometimes is called the Ascari chicane. It's the quickest of the 3, left, right, and then flat out to his final left, up the curb a little bit, but Senna keeping well off that. And really, in the last season, Andrew, I think Senna's really developed this technique, these wonderful fast qualifying laps, but not riding over the curbs. We see other drivers doing it. Into parabolica, getting on the par. My goodness, he ran wide there, I tell you. That was almost off the track, but he kept under control, kept the power on, and now coming across the line. What's the time, Andrew?
Not quite there, John. It's there now. Coming over our timing screen very quickly. 1:22.9. Senna snatches the pole. So we knew it was going to be a quick one, and Senna has delivered yet again. Senna on his way to 50 pole positions. Looks as if he'll probably make that target this season. Meanwhile, Nigel Mansell, has he got an answer for Ayrton? There he goes. He says he is definitely retiring from Grand Prix racing, and then he offered that little pearl that he might just go sports car racing next year. He's a boy, isn't he?
I hope he does, because the kind of money Nigel would command is going to increase the salaries, I hope, of all those other sports car drivers, one of whom is me, of course. But anyway, Nigel Mansell really concentrating on Monza 90 and doing a pretty good job. The Ferrari chassis, of course, is considered to be the best chassis currently in Formula One, and Ferrari will try and produce an engine to match that chassis. Now Mansell coming up to the end of that qualifying lap. Let's have a time.
Yes, Mansell, a very good one. Mansell goes on to the front row of the grid. Mansell second, 1:23.141. And there's that man, Joao Alesi again. Alesi thought he has Italian parents. They come from Sicily. And will he drive for Ferrari next year? Frank Williams says he most certainly won't. through this beautiful parkland. So it is a wonderful setting for a motor racing circuit here in the Royal Park at Monza. And a big moment there, and Gerhard Berger, I don't think you'd seen him, John.
Well, I think Gerhard didn't look in his mirrors. I don't know whether he got a blue flag signalling a quicker car coming from behind, but Alesi very badly held up indeed. Gerhard just sort of appeared to be almost daydreaming. I don't like to say that, but I mean, he was going through the chicane, not aware. And let's look at it again. Alesi coming in on a quick lap, totally committed as Alesi is, left, across to the right, and then back to the left, but it's in the middle of this left-hand exit of the chicane. He comes across, dear old Gerhard. Gerhard out for a happy Friday afternoon drive, having completed a qualifying lap, completely destroys Alesi's final qualifying attempt. On those Pirelli tires, of course, he gets double the number of laps the Goodyear runners get, but Alesi, I'm sure, is absolutely furious at that.
Yes. Now we've got Berger out on another run, and he is all over the curbs. In fact, Berger continuing that run where he messed up Alesi. And what can Berger do about this? Can he make it an all McLaren Honda front row of the grid? This is his last chance. Just a couple of minutes of qualifying remaining.
Well, I have to say, Gerhard seems to love the curves. I mean, he's making more use of the curves than anyone else we have seen so far this afternoon. Into the final chicane. And this is the most enjoyable from a driver's point of view because it's fast, it's got a nice natural flow. He runs a little bit wide, but no problem, the car under control. And now the rush down into the final corner before the start-finish line, this parabolic, this magic corner, this very long, relatively slow entry, let's say 120 miles an hour, if you can call that slow, but a very, very fast and wide and open exit, exiting there about 170 miles an hour.
And down that famous start-finish line, wonderful stand there and listen to the engines roar. But he's third, doesn't quite make it, just a tenth of a second shy of Nigel Mansell's time. So it does look as if the order at the end of Friday's qualifying is going to be Senna, Mansell, Berger and Prost. 2 McLarens and 2 Ferraris. Yes, and confirmation now. Ayrton Senna provisionally on the pole, 122.972. Mansell second fastest, 123.141. And it's Berger 23.239 and Prost 23.497. Then it's Thierry Boutsen 24.042 and a great performance from Alesi 24.159. Then Riccardo Patrese and Nelson Piquet, and completing the top 10, Alessandro Nannini and Derek Warwick going well in the Lotus Lamborghini. Then it's Bernard and Donnelly, 2 more Lamborghini-powered drivers, Gugelmin Martini, Nakajima, Capelli, Modena, Suzuki, Alio and Gruillard. That's the top 20. 21st at Cesaris, and it's Alboreto, Pirro, Capi, all those Italians together. Then Tarquini and Barilla. They're the last ones in. 27th and currently out of the race, David Brabham. Then Yannick Dalmas, Nicola Larini and Bertrand Gachot. After that great pre-qualifying performance, he's only 30th. So Friday's qualifying showing that Ayrton Senna is still the man to beat here at Monza, a race, John, he's never ever won.
Well, that's very nearly all we have time for from an exciting first day of the Eurosport coverage of the Italian Grand Prix. With me, a rather quiet Riccardo Patrese. Riccardo, any comment on the first day here at Monza? No, he's obviously still studying his form. But maybe we'll get a word from Jean Alesi, the man in form at the moment. Jean? Yes, well, it must be my personality. I'm not doing too well. We've got another stuff shirt here. John Watson. John, it was a good first day, seriously speaking. Senna where you'd expect to find him, but Nigel Mansell, I think, with a chance of really going something here.
Yeah, Nigel, obviously that ticking off he got last week when he came down to Ferrari after his performance in Belgium has not gone amiss. And Mansell was mighty on Friday afternoon, but of course tomorrow is the final day of qualifying, Saturday, and things can change. But as Jean Alesi, for me, really was the man. Senna was quickest, we expected that, but Alesi was just phenomenal. And with a car that's got something like 70 horsepower less than the people just ahead of him, well, for me it was remarkable. And really on that last qualifying lap when he ran wide coming out of the Ascari chicane, he had a very big moment indeed. If he hadn't had that, he would have been in the high 23s, and that would have been even more remarkable. So something to look forward to on Saturday, and really a great weekend in store.
Well, thanks very much, John. I don't know if you could hear it, but as we started to speak, the rain started to fall here at Monza. That could really upset the apple cart on the second day of qualifying. Make sure you join us for our coverage here on Eurosport.